You know the saying, if it's free, you're the product. I remember my entrepreneurial teacher talked about this phrase day one, and I kind of brushed off my shoulder. But the more I just kind of uncover information about technology and security, the more that the statement seems to be really spot on. Now, not only is the tech industry invading our privacy, but they are also doing so amid a global pandemic. Now, I have a question to ask you, and I've asked this to myself as well, and that is, do you know what personal data companies are really getting about us online? I want you to ask yourself, do you know what personal information is being collected about you? Who's getting access to it? If it's being sold and to whom it's being sold to? These are questions I've also asked myself. So today we will be discussing the use of technology that is intruding on people's personal data and how it is worsening in many places amid a global pandemic. And I know personally this is something that I think about all the time. So for example, one time I ordered, Cheesecake Factory, and it was on Grubhub, and then I remember days after I got so many Instagram ads, and I've never ordered from there before. And people could say that's a coincidence, but as you learn more about security, cookies, all that comes with that, you realize it's not so much a coincidence. So, to prove my main points, I will first describe how technology can be very helpful, as we know, but is also subject to abuse. I will then examine privacy concerns during COVID-19, especially in the United States, and then lastly, I will discuss how technological advancements in other countries are doing, especially during this time, and how it plays on privacy. So to begin, much of technology is created to make our lives easier, more safe, and overall to improve them. However, it can also come at a price. So there are many locational apps out there that can monitor and track people's location. So, for example, there's one app out there that is monitoring people that have professions in high-risk categories. So think social workers, police officers, patrol officers, anyone that might feel like they could be in danger. And this app actually came about that has a panic button on it that shows their exact location because one social worker, after she was going to her routine visit at a home, actually was murdered. So this app clearly would allow people to feel safe, especially the people that have high-risk jobs. And I know Find My Friends, which makes me feel safe because I know as a female in college going out at night, it's just always good to have your friends knowing where you're going and family members as well. However, like I said, people have taken advantage of this. And Patrick McDaniel reported that many people have used this app to monitor maybe a spouse they suspect is cheating. There have been reports of former associates being tracked on this app and other individuals, which clearly the app wasn't designed for, and that wasn't the intent of the app, but people have clearly taken advantage of it. So it definitely privacy comes into question, and how confidential is my information? Do other people know my exact location? And it definitely can be something that is a concern. I also want to discuss smart home appliances. So speaker systems from Amazon, Google, Apple, so Siri, Alexa, which commonly people would get information from them. You can ask them what the weather is, what's on your calendar for romance movies, and they'll basically just kind of throw at you information. So one study from Northeastern University recorded 125 hours of different shows on Netflix, and they wanted to see what words would accidentally activate Alexa or Siri. So they refer to these as wake-up words that sounded similar to Siri. For example, the phrase, "Hey, sorry," Siri would activate, or "He clearly," Siri could activate. And they found that the average rate of activations per device, as quoted by Daniel J. Dubus, who worked on the study, is between 1.5 and 19 times per day during our experiments. So, though there is no concrete evidence that these devices are constantly recording our conversations, in the least, the researcher on the case, Roman Holcomb, explained that this is privacy and security nightmare. That's why I chose long ago to put my Google Home in the trash. So some people don't want anything to do with it. And circling back to concerns involving the coronavirus, I will now discuss Verily. And Verily is a division of Google's parent company and has begun showing people where they can get tested, sites available near them, and is a really great resource. But Jennifer Elias from CNBS has explained that there is a possible risk. And she says that in order to be eligible, you need to be 18 years of age, US resident, and also sign the authorization form. One part in the authorization form states, and I'll quote, "Information may also be shared with certain service providers engaged to perform services on behalf of Verily, including Google, including iCloud cloud services, security services, data storage, website hosting, and other support functions," which seems very murky and just kind of suspicious. It's just not very exacting in where your information is going. So clearly personal data from location sharing apps and health can be almost a slippery slope. And in addition, we discussed current privacy concerns in the US, and I will now transition to describing more extreme measures that other countries are taking, especially, like I said, amid coronavirus. So in other countries, especially countries that do not operate with the same restrictions as the US, for example, China, technology is increasingly reducing their privacy. And they developed this new app for coronavirus where people are given different codes. So with the green code, people can travel freely. A yellow code, they have to isolate at home. Red code means COVID patient, they isolate away from others. And it sounds all great and dandy, but the catch is that there's zero transparency in the app. People don't know what kind of data it's storing, and the app also requires medical records to be reported, travel history, and they're not really sure who has access to the information. And apart from Corona, China has come under fire before for their lack of privacy, especially relating to facial recognition, which an article from BBC reported, and they're using 200 million surveillance cameras, one camera for every 7 of the citizens. And apparently by 2021, about 400 million new cameras are expected to be installed in the country. And these cameras are used for security and traffic control purposes. In addition, these cameras will also be put in different school systems. For example, one school system in Hangzhou that will analyze the behavior of students, while it will also record their attendance. Similarly, back to the corona, South Korea is implementing a similar app, and their app is calling it a maximum action lockdown app. And Max K. Sim from Technology Review said that the app, developed by the Ministry of Interior and Safety, allows those who have been ordered not to leave their home to stay in contact with caseworkers and report on their progress. So basically what happens is, say someone comes into the village that has been tested positive for corona. Everyone will get a text on that app. It will say exactly where they go. Say they stopped at Starbucks, they stopped at 7-Eleven, and workers reported that when this incident happened, they were relieved when they saw the car drive away from their town. And this was also reported by CBB. So, clearly, though global pandemic can bring out all types of emotions, from anger to frustration to fear, it is very significant how we respond, especially when our privacy is on the line. And although it may seem like there are increased violations to our personal information and how it could be a beneficial way to stop the spread of the deadly virus and overall just improve our lives, access to people's personal data is a slippery slope that has been in effect for a long time and is only worsening due to the increased result of technology. Now, what can you do to protect your privacy? Well, California passed its version of the California Consumer Policy Act, and now more states could copy the California Privacy Act, which will basically allow you to see what data is coming from your personal data, where it's going. And I will link a petition you can sign in the description box below so that you can see these laws and vote for them when you go to the ballot box. Thank you so much, and I hope you're all doing so